You have found what lights you up. I'm your host, Sunny the Life Coach, and I'm here because I see you searching for something or someone out there to help you feel better. Something to take away the pain that you're feeling, the inadequacies. I know all of the things that happen in life can leave you feeling empty. Your search is over. This podcast is all about finding your own freedom and power to love yourself enough to shine in the ways you were always meant to, the ways in which you are already fully capable of. If you're ready for some real talk, some serious truth bombs, and a few F-bombs, you are in the right place. Let's do this. Let's get lit. Hey there. Welcome to episode 18. Wow, the numbers are climbing fast, and the weeks just seem to fly by. There are actually more than 18 episodes as I've thrown a few bonuses in. I haven't done one of those in a while. So I'm going to see what I can do for you before July is over, which will be tomorrow. Hello. Oh, already August. Of course, it may be much later than that when you hear this. What I want to talk about today is how there's no place like here. And when I think of that, my brain automatically shifts to There's No Place Like Home and one of my all-time favorite movies, The Wizard of Oz. Now, here's the crazy thing. Generally, I am not a fan of musicals, especially Broadway musicals. Not even a little bit. I swear, some days I think we are the last remaining family in this country that has yet to see Hamilton. I know this may sound blasphemous to some of you listening, and I will apologize in advance for what I'm about to say, but I'm just not interested. I have Disney Plus. I have everything I need in order to enjoy Hamilton. I just don't think that I would. I know. I'm sorry. But from the time I was a small child, I was enthralled with The Wizard of Oz. My parents actually separated when I was 2, so that's not even the divorce I referenced in an earlier episode. I don't remember that first separation. And if I did, everything is so dramatic when you're 2 anyway. Just forget it. I do remember visiting my dad a couple of times per year, and sometimes he would take me to his parents' home in Wisconsin. My grandparents had quite a few albums, the vinyl kind. The ones you put on a record player. Oh my God, I'm dating myself now. I think my son has seen one of those in a museum once. They had a lot of albums, and 2 of my favorites were Peter, Paul, and Mary and The Wizard of Oz. Now, I had never seen or heard an album like The Wizard of Oz, though. It wasn't just the music. It was the entire movie. All of the dialogue, all of the drama. The album cover was more like a book, and it had pictures from the actual movie in it. I just remember spending hours listening to that movie from start to finish, looking at the pictures and putting together in my mind what scenes they might go with. I did this over the course of several visits to my grandparents. That's my recollection anyway. And also that my dad and grandpa surprised me by taking me to the local movie theater in Madison one day. They didn't tell me what movie we were going to see, but as soon as the opening music started, I knew exactly what it was. I recited every word and song in my head right along with that movie. Yes, it is my recollection that it was in my head, but who knows? There may have been some audibles. So cool. As I know those of you who are Hamilton fans do. Ha! Seriously, The Wizard of Oz is the only musical I can hang with. Perhaps it's because of those childhood memories. And here's what our brains do. They like to replay memories from the past, both good and bad, whatever has the drama, because that's what it likes most. Or they like to daydream about the future. Because it hasn't happened yet, we can make it look as amazing as our imaginations will allow. What our brains don't like to do is to enjoy the moments in the everyday, the normal, the mundane. No, our brains like to feed us messages that everything will be better once we make it there. Once we've reached that magical land of Oz, things will be better once I've reached that milestone. When we were younger, those markers were well laid out for us. Graduate high school. Decide what, not who, but what you want to be when you grow up. Select the corresponding major and go to college. Graduate. Get a job. Maybe without college, you can still establish a career. Either way, this is what I want to spend my time doing. Hopefully, it's something you enjoy. Find a mate, get married, buy a house, have children. Then start helping your children with their milestones. And somewhere along the way, you realize there's got to be more to this life because you still have a lot of it left to live. And because all along the way to here, where you are right now, you've convinced yourself that you'll feel happy and fulfilled when? When you graduate, when you land your dream job, when you fall in love with the person of your dreams, when you get married, and hopefully your wedding went just as you wanted it to, when you buy a house, when you have children. It doesn't seem to matter that none of those things, either by themselves or in their totality, really did make your life complete and wonderful and full of rainbows and butterflies. That didn't happen because life is a balance of feelings, 50-50, as I described in episode 6. Half of the time it's amazing, and the other half of the time is absolutely horrible. It doesn't matter that this is the human experience. Here's what our brains do. It's by design. You may have heard the term monkey mind, and since I'm going with a Wizard of Oz theme today, you might even choose to visualize flying monkeys. That's what I'm going with in my brain. Those flying monkeys were freaking terrifying when I was young, but if I catch those parts of the movie today, I can just look at them as super pesky and stirring up trouble. That's a good way to think of your monkey mind, pesky and stirring up trouble. This is actually a Buddhist term. It means unsettled, restless, whimsical, inconstant, confused, indecisive. Your monkey mind will look at the life you've created and work to convince you that it is unsettled and restless. Because here's where you are. That feeling of accomplishment from having graduated has long worn off, probably years ago, when you realize that having a certain degree in itself does not guarantee that you will land your dream job. And what is that anyway? No matter what job you have, you're likely dealing with people, other people, and their individual personalities all day long, which can be hard as fuck to navigate because you're still trying to figure out how to manage your own thoughts. That can be challenging enough without adding in some strong personalities that press your buttons. Turns out the person of your dreams has flaws just like you do. He or she is not perfect. You argue a lot. Maybe you argue so much that you decide to separate. Your kids are hot mess germ factories, and you can't even help them with their schoolwork because you have no clue how Common Core math works? Raise your hand if that is you. Now, you're looking at this part of your life, the shitty parts of it, and your monkey mind convinces you that if you make a change, things will be better. You will be happier, more fulfilled, more centered, full of abundance and gratitude. You'll have this experience when you lose the weight that you've packed on over the past 10 years, when you upgrade to a nicer house, maybe with a pool this time, when your husband starts acting right or showing you the love that you think he should, when your kids grow up and leave the nest, when you really are doing the work that you feel you are meant to do and getting paid good money for it. Maybe you get a promotion, make partners, start your own business. When you move to a part of the country where most of your neighbors share your same values and beliefs because a lot of the people you know or interact with daily just aren't your people. Surely they live in that state or that country. Let's go there. There we will find happiness. Here is where life sucks. There is where life will be so much better. That monkey mind, unsettled, restless, somewhere over the rainbow, life will be better than it is here in Kansas. So you start making some changes in search of that magical land where everyone is happy and singing and holding hands and freaking skipping, without even recognizing that none of the other milestones or goals you've reached have brought you peace and joy and fulfillment. Not all of the time. Probably in the beginning, when you first reached that goal, checked that box, you felt a great sense of accomplishment, especially if it was one that took years to achieve, such as the case with earning a degree or sometimes with having a child. Then you realize that about half the time, that accomplishment just doesn't do it for you. Half of the time, you still feel bad. You still hit low points. You still encounter sadness and stress and pain. You want more. That's just what we do. We always want more. We always want the upgrades in life. It's not a bad thing to want. In fact, it's a great thing to keep wanting, I think. It keeps you reaching outside of your zone of comfort. It keeps you learning and growing and developing yourself. Wanting can be a good thing, but wanting for the sake of finding happiness or convincing yourself or others that life will be better when you get there is a setup. Don't fall for it. Before you make a change in your life, you need to learn to love who you are today and where you are today. You need to love the here and now before trying to get there. Listen, being happy with where you are today is a choice. It's your choice and yours alone. How do you love the here and now? How do you do that? Well, you just decide. And before you tell me that you're indecisive or it's hard for you to make a decision, please know that I am not having it. These are just thoughts, and it's time you start calling them out. These are just invitations from your brain to a party that you do not have to attend. When you make a choice, you're making a decision. Also, be fully aware that choosing not to is a decision. A choice is a decision, so is choosing not to. Choosing not to love yourself and your life and the people in it right now is a decision that you have made. In this moment, you might simply be choosing not to consider the good parts of where you are. And what that really means is that you're choosing not to consider the good parts of who you are. Here's something to think about. As children, we can't wait to grow up. Why? Usually our little brains are telling us that that's when we can make our own decisions. No one can tell us what to do anymore. If we want to stay up all night, we can. If we want to have mac and cheese for every meal, we can. We get to make our own choices. Oh, and isn't adulthood lovely? Do you detect the sarcasm in my tone? The ultimate insult is that once you're grown up, you'd love to just go back to that childhood innocence and very limited responsibility. But this is a one-way journey. It's no wonder, really, that we are constantly setting new goals and making plans for ourselves to be happy when we get there. Wherever there is. As if it's some other worldly utopia where everything is perfect and we're happy all the time. What is that for you today? What is that vision? To lose the weight, to make more money, to have the bigger house, the nicer car? What if I told you that there are plenty of people out there in this world who have all of those things and more, yet still aren't happy all of the time? People that still want more because they also believe if they keep chasing new things, the moon and the stars and the universe will align and everything will be wonderful. What if I told you that some of the most successful weight loss coaches out there still struggle with self-loathing? Some have even had the realization that chasing their high school body was ridiculous. Not because their metabolisms are different now or because they may be balancing other health issues too. No, because the realization hits that when they were their slimmest and best looking versions of themselves, they were also their most miserable, depressed, or borderline suicidal. Those are the epiphanies that might present themselves as you travel your own path, and it's all good. I've been reading this book and I hit this section of it just as I was planning this episode, so I'm going to read an excerpt. I think I was meant to because the timing of my reading, it was impeccable. So this is an excerpt from The Mastery of Self by Don Miguel Ruiz. If you're waiting to be loved and accepted in the future, then you are not loving and accepting yourself in the present. By tying your self-love and self-acceptance to a goal, your happiness corresponds to its achievement. When you reach your goal, your self-esteem rises temporarily. When you don't, you think less of yourself. You have chosen to conditionally love yourself based on the success or failure of your obtaining this goal. Now the expectation of what should be controls you. The process looks like this. Number 1, you decide that the person you are is not enough, so you set a goal to achieve something. Number 2, you implicitly make an agreement with yourself that you will only be worthy of your own love if the goal is obtained. Number 3, if you don't meet the goal, you judge yourself accordingly. If you do meet the goal, your inner judge raises the bar. This is the trap that the mastery of self avoids, and the way to do so is by loving yourself unconditionally, seeing that you are already perfect in this moment and there is no goal you need to obtain to be worthy of your own love. So you see, yes, it's all a trap. And it's not intentional. It's just your monkey mind jumping around from one place to the other in search of that magical place. The good news is that you can take back control. You do have that higher thinking brain within you. Just activate it. Tell that little monkey to calm the fuck down and take a good look around at what you do have. Acknowledge what you have accomplished already. I'll bet if you made a list, you'd be impressed with yourself. Keep setting goals and making plans by all means. That's part of the fun of this life. But make sure that you're doing it from a place of appreciation, gratitude, and contentment for exactly where you are now, for exactly who you are now. Take a long look in the mirror and admire the parts of you that are phenomenal. What are they? Your eyes, your naturally full lips, your perfectly shaped earlobes capable of holding the weight of all of the bling that you enjoy wearing? What else? Your naturally strong fingernails, thick hair that goes wild on humid days? What do you love about yourself? How about your personality traits? Are you honest, loyal, friendly, outgoing, quirky, witty? What are the parts of you that you love just the way you are? When you give all of these things some consideration, some intention, it becomes easier to remember to enjoy the journey just as much as you imagine you will enjoy reaching that destination. Now, I normally choose a Rumi quote to go with my topic, but today, when I don't choose Rumi, I choose Pharrell Williams. Hey, it's a good mix. Happiness is not about the trophy or the finish line. It's the journey. If you can enjoy your journey, you can enjoy your life. And that is what I'm talking about. There's so much symbolism in The Wizard of Oz, but I like to think of no place like home as being no place like here. Right now, in this time, in this space, in this body, this vessel, with this amazing mind, capable of taking me just about anywhere, and I'm happy to go there. I just won't wait to arrive before I consider enjoying this life, just the way that it is. There is a very interesting word. It can mean in or at that place. There is no better than here. It can also mean something that exists. There is no better than here. I mean it both ways, my friends. Both ways. Thank you for listening as always. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave me a review on Apple Podcasts so that others can find this too. Light up, shine on.